Our next speaker is also a relatively new member of Valentine Toastmasters. He's only been with us a couple months, and he's giving his fourth presentation of the Common Communicator Manual. The project is How to Say It. It's 5 to 7 minutes. The speech title, Tossed in the Air, 30,000 feet above ground level for 4 days. Our speaker, Karan, Bhandari.
Early man always wanted to fly. The Greeks used to create wax incarnations and put on wings and jump off the cliffs. Today, modern man has advanced. They have jets, choppers, aircrafts, and you can get from point A to point B in under 16 hours to the other side of the world. But for some uncanny reason, a series of incidents have culminated in a very bizarre end. I traveled for 4 consecutive days, 3.5 days. But still, that's enormous. So, it was supposed to be a simple trip. Charlotte to Washington, Washington to Frankfurt, Frankfurt to India. But something happened in Frankfurt that found me accidentally traveling to 4 other countries. So what had happened? I had taken the flight from, this is a true story. I had taken the flight from Frankfurt to Washington and Washington to Frankfurt. I missed the connecting flight. Because of that, I went to Lufthansa. I was supposed to take, it was United, Lufthansa. I was supposed to take Lufthansa. I missed it by 5 minutes. They didn't allow me in the aircraft. And they said they have already commenced everything and they will be taking off in the next 10 to 15 minutes. They didn't allow me in the aircraft. And they asked me to go to Air India counter and take my new tickets from Frankfurt to New Delhi and New Delhi to Bangalore, my final destination. Okay, I waited for 6 hours in the airport, and it's not easy because for eating a leaf you need to spend €5. They say it's tax-free, but the people in the airport live in an entirely different world. You pay exorbitant prices for something very stupid and simple. So I was there for 6 hours, fine. When I went to Air India counter, they mentioned that your luggage has been booked, but you have not been booked. The airlines have just forgotten about you, and my situation was in oblivion. So when I went back to United to ask why didn't the transfer happen, they weren't there. There was no human being. At 9 p.m. everyone wrapped up and left the desk. Fine, I went to Lufthansa because I was supposed to board that flight. And they asked me to go and convince Air India. So in airline, when you go from the transfer desk to the check-in, you need to again unwrap everything, put all the contents. Okay, and I had 4 laptops, 2 tablets, so I had to put them in 8 different boxes because you take out your shoe, your laptops, your devices, your cell phones, everything. I had to do that 10 times over and over again. And the security personnel knew me by my name, and they used to call other people to actually see what's happening. And when that happened, when I went to Lufthansa to inquire about why did United do this, they offered me, they told me that, see, they're not responsible for me, so I need to call up United. When I go to the toll booth, they don't allow toll-free numbers. Fine, I go back to Lufthansa, again checking procedure. I go back to Lufthansa and they asked me to call up United from their own phone. I did that. 45 minutes conversation. They booked me in Air France, Frankfurt to Paris, Paris to Bangalore. And I waited for the entire night in the airport. Again, spent about €30 for another meal. And incidentally, in the morning, when I was about to board the flight, the visa officer stopped me And he said, in order to travel in the Sky King region, you need a European visa. I don't have that. I had a US visa, student visa. So I couldn't board that flight. Fine. Now I did the same procedure. Went back to Lufthansa, borrowed their phone. This time my conversation lasted for 200 minutes. And they decided to send me to Abu Dhabi. Fine. I accepted it on the face value. And during that time, Lufthansa was frustrated. They were about to book me for Abu Dhabi, but then Lufthansa abruptly picked the phone and put it down. You can't do that. That's inefficient. 200 minutes? What's wrong with you? I'll book the flight. And then, okay, fine. She decided to book me for Frankfurt to Bahrain, Bahrain to Chennai, and Chennai to Bangalore. But once, okay, during that flight, I did a lot of humanitarian activities. Like, I helped someone from Sudan to write his custom duty pages and his immigration form. I helped other people to do translation, because once you go to Bahrain, it's a totally different atmosphere. I know the Grand Prix was held there, but people in general were varied, and everyone has offered English forms and things like that. So I went to Bahrain to Chennai, and in Chennai I realized that they forgot to book me from Chennai to Bangalore. And before I got onto the Frankfurt to Bahrain flight, someone from the ground staff came up to me and told me that they could not locate my luggage. So once I reached Bangalore, I realized that okay, one luggage went to Muscat and the other one went to Hyderabad. None of them that was there on all the itineraries that I had. And because of that, when I reached Chennai, Gulf Air hesitated to take my luggage complaint. And in the airline industry, you are supposed to complain in the last airline that you flew in. They rejected it. So I had been flying for 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours, and then again 8 hours. So, and then 2.5 nights in the airports. So once I reached Bangalore, then I had to raise secondary requests, tertiary requests, and none of them was accepted. None of them called me back, because whoever heard the incident, they would ask me, "Can you please repeat that?" And I had to narrate the entire incident again and again. So now I have filed a claim for insurance agency. I hope I get at least 1,500 back. My starting of the trip initially was, I knew something would go wrong because they charged me 6,000 instead of 3,000. So the moral of the story is, never use United.